And we're back live again. And we're actually going to change it up today. We're actually splitting the podcast.
Yeah.
Because I know time has kind of felt still for like all of 2020. So you don't really know what day of the week it is anymore.
Plot twist, it's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. And usually it's a podcast that would come out of yesterday. But, we were kind of busy. So there's that. And we also haven't done hockey in a while. So we're going to split it up. Hockey and a little Underachievers all in one podcast. We were able to do this because Brian's not here. So because
Thanks,
of that,
Brian.
Yep. That's what you get for winning Uno earlier. So
oh gosh.
Also, I do want to say this off the top. This is something that's always been brought up by Brian, how the cold weather makes him sad. I'm starting to get that because it's getting colder out. I get that. I'm sad now.
Literally,
it's freezing out
I
today.
looked at the temp this morning, and it said for today a high of 37. And at that point, I looked at my phone. It was already a high of 34.
Yeah.
It's a low of 25 today, guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's an issue.
Good thing you worked from home today.
Yeah, so actually really funny, real quick. I was getting off the phone before I logged off like 15 minutes ago. My boss said like, oh, like, I don't know if you have a preference like for working home from tomorrow or Friday. I'm like, well,
can I do both?
Yeah, well, that's honestly what I might try to find out. I might text her back saying, hey, like, I know we're talking about Thursday or Friday. Could I just try to do both?
Mm-hmm.
Because
you never know.
Yeah. So I'm gonna text her at some point, just say, hey, can I just stay home for the next couple of days? I don't want to go in the office.
I get it. I mean, I have to do it every time I go to work, but especially this week, the 2 days or 3 days, it's Wednesday that I've gone in this week. It's just been cold. Like you go in, it's like, oh, it's freezing.
Dude,
it's cold
weird.
It's cold when you go in, and it's cold when you leave. It's like great.
Yeah, it's not fun. What really sucks though is no matter what, I'm always cold there because where I sit in the back of the office, I'm somewhat close to the door, but in that back part of the office, it's always cold, regardless of the door there or not. I mean, it's closed, yeah, but still, it's just chilly back there. I don't like it. I'm like,
right,
sucks.
And I was texting our good friend Abby earlier, and she texted me saying she woke up or she left and there was snow in her car. I was like, it's not even winter yet. You already got snow in your car?
What do you mean? Where's the snow coming from?
I don't know. Obviously, up by Wilkes-Barre area.
Oh, is that where she's at?
Yeah, that's where she lives out in that area.
Well,
that would be why.
Yeah, well, all right. So that I kind of get.
Kind of.
I don't like it, but I kind of get it.
Yeah, but it's like it's not even winter yet. You're already getting snow.
Yeah. My dad. Actually, you know what? I feel like we've talked about this plenty of times before. I'm gonna bring it up again whenever Brian gets back. For the next Underachievers podcast. So my dad was on a walk earlier. He just told me this. He goes, I saw something on someone's lawn that I despise, and if you saw it, you would hate it just as much. Someone already had Christmas lights out.
Yep. I've got a couple neighbors that have their Christmas lights out.
It's November 18th. It's too early to have anything Christmas related.
My cutoff's always been Thanksgiving. I don't know why all of a sudden it's been, let's get it out. Like, even this year, there's been there was right before, the week of Halloween, there was already Christmas commercials playing.
Literally. And that's how it is every year. And the way it is the moment it's Halloween or even leading up to Halloween or the day after, it's all Christmas. It's like Thanksgiving doesn't even exist anymore. I will say, though, I forget who mentioned this to me, and it really makes me mad because they make a good point. This year has been so shitty that if celebrating Christmas early like this makes people happy, then just let them be. 90% of me is like, I don't care. It's too early for Christmas. Let it be. And just, Thanksgiving is literally next Thursday. After that, do what you want. But then the 10% part of me is like, you know what? This has been a really horrible year for everyone. So it makes you happy celebrating Christmas early. Do it. Who cares? Listen to music, put out lights, whatever. So I'm trying to get down to more of a 60-40 level. Right now I'm still at a 90-10 level.
And normally there would be hockey going on now, going back to our usual hockey podcast too. Usually the reason why we'd notice it more is because we'd always watch a Flyers game and they'd show all like the car commercials that have Christmas.
Yeah, and that's how I know the game's back. Oh, car commercial. 3, 2, there it is.
There we go. Yeah. But unfortunately, because, the year it's been and everything, we'll get to that a little bit later. We might have a start date too. For the NHL
and we got the new reverse retro jerseys. Some I love, others not too bad.
Too much, yeah.
And then there's a couple others that just really, that's what you got.
Mm-hmm. That's the best you got.
So,
but I'll say my joke for when we get to it.
Oh God! So let's start with the Underachievers half,
and then we'll get to the other half later on.
Yeah.
But before I get to this is actually going back to our podcast stuff more so Underachievers. Next week we aren't going to be on. It's just going to be a best of, just because it's it's the week of Thanksgiving. It's the week of Thanksgiving. I don't know what people's plans are, or really just our plans or whatever. Anyways, it's just just take the week. It's a holiday week. It's been a shitty week. If Thanksgiving, just let Thanksgiving be a whole week. That's my take.
I like that. I'm good with that.
Just let it be a week. If then that's what you're talking about with Christmas. If that's what makes you happy to get through the rest of this year, go for it.
So be it. Go crazy.
I mean, people don't know what date it is anymore. Anyways.
Yeah, literally,
I had like an Office, like the episode where Jim's trying to get Dwight, because Dwight thinks it's Friday, and
he thinks it's Friday. Tomorrow's, or no, he thinks it's a Thursday.
No, he thinks it's a Friday, but it's actually Thursday. Remember, he cut.
Or no, that's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah.
And Jim tries to convince him the whole day that it's actually Friday. And for the beginning of this week, like on Monday, like we have like a little like clipboard that has like the day. It's like it says the 17th. Like I'm pretty sure it's the 16th. I mean, I wouldn't hate it if it was the 17th, because then it would be
it's another day done and one day closer to Thanksgiving.
And then it happened again yesterday. It was the 18th instead of the 17th. No, it's the 17th.
It's like, this is something, I swear, this is weird. It's so funny.
And then I literally had that scene of Dwight running in the next day. He's like, I'm here.
I'm here. Never missed a day in my ass. Oh my God. But no, so it's funny you mention that, because I had something so similar this week happen to me like that, where I sent an email or something like that to someone for, like to help set up a Zoom interview for work. And I typed in, it was like, like Tuesday or Wednesday the 18th. Mm-hmm. I think it's like Tuesday the 18th. I was like, one of these things does not sit well with me. I can't figure it out. So I was looking at that.
I went out drinking with my paintball team last night.
I never go out on a Thursday. I love it. Oh my God. But so for example, my dad, when he was also on, like when we were talking about the Christmas thing, he goes, "It's November 12th. It's too early for Christmas." I was like, that happened last week, Dad. That's 6 days ago. This is November 12th. Today's the 18th. He's like, "Oh, well, you get my point. Who cares?
Yeah.
Too early for Christmas."
It is too early for Christmas. It's like,
oh my God, literally, I just can't get into it. Like, again, if you're trying to tell me that you can listen to Christmas music and be in the Christmas spirit for 2 months straight, be my guest. Well, holy crap, I can't do that.
There's people that
3 months straight. I can't do that. Literally, our good buddy Matt, who's been on a couple hockey podcasts with us before,
and Underachievers,
and Underachievers, yeah.
That was our first ever unofficial official critique, was with Matt.
That was, yeah.
When we talked about Star Wars and Marvel.
And that was an all-time classic.
Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, ever since then we've been getting a slight uptick. So I don't know what it was.
I think it's a great Matt. Yeah, I love that. But the best part is this Dwight's on the fire extinguisher. But no, so I was talking. I tagged Matt in something, and it was something like it was showing a scene for someone. I think it was like a character Will Ferrell was, and for like Halloween or something like that. It's like October 31st, and then calendar shows November 1st, and it's Buddy the Elf all dressed up, waiting for Santa and everything. And I tagged Matt, and he goes, I haven't listened to a single Christmas song yet. And I'm like, who are you and what have you done with the real Matt? He goes, dude, I just can't get in the Christmas spirit right now. I'm like, oh my God, 2020 is
Who
taking
are
control
you?
over Matt. The horror.
That was actually, I think it was last year. There was a great, just saw it was on my like the Facebook like post or wall or whatever,
The
and it
memories,
was
yeah.
Matt. It was Matt tagging you, and it was the off. It was when it was an Office meme, but it was with Christmas. It was when Michael was dating Pam's mom, and he says, "I'm gonna date her even harder." But then it was, "I'm gonna celebrate Christmas even harder now."
You know what? That might be what it was. Hold on, I gotta go back now. I'm so curious. But no, I'm pretty sure that's the exact. Or no,
This is a while.
I don't
The post I was talking about was from like last year. Remember, it made me laugh. It just
really,
popped in. You guys send that stuff all the time.
dude. Because literally, I saw that exact meme like just the other day.
Yeah, it's a very popular meme around this time.
Well, no, I've never seen it. Though. That's my point.
It's one of my more favorite ones because it's one of those things. Like, yeah, it's one of I can see Matt saying that to you. Just I'm gonna celebrate Christmas harder now.
You know, because I had. Damn, where is this? No, because I had. No, because I had. It was a week ago, and Matt replied to the comment, and when I click on it,
Mm-hmm.
if
If
it
it
brings up
loads,
that exact
does it
meme.
really? That's
Yeah.
great.
So I'm pretty sure that that's the one. And of course, there's so many thousands of people commented on it. I can't find my comment. It doesn't take me to it, whatever. But I even said like, are you okay? And he just reacted with the like the sad emoji face, like how you can react to messages and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, poor Matthew.
Yeah, poor Matthew.
Oh goodness. Anyway, on a happier note, um, halfway done the week. Tomorrow's Thursday.
Yeah, next week for most people in the adulting world, um, it's a short week. It's Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving week, so realistically, you would think you have somewhat of a shorter week, whether it's that Friday for Black Friday or Thanksgiving itself for those 2 days or whatever. Usually, some people have that holiday week off for a day or so off, so your
Yeah.
weekend's a little longer. So, so it should be fun. This weekend, I have my sister and her husband coming in. She's coming in, I think, Friday night. They're
There you
coming
go.
in, and we're gonna do just us doing our own Thanksgiving. We're not doing anything. Well, we are to an extent. So next Thursday, which is obviously Thanksgiving, my grandma, we're going over to we're doing nothing Thanksgiving, and then that night we're doing a dessert. Bring your own dessert. We're gonna have a bonfire at my grandma's, and that's kind of just
Nice.
gonna be it for Thanksgiving. That's all we're gonna
Sounds like
do.
fun.
And for Christmas, we're just thinking we're just not gonna do anything, just
Yeah.
nothing, because unfortunately, it's just that with the pandemic going on, it's just like one, you don't want so many people in your house, and two, when you start bringing your grandparents and all that and older relatives, you're like, I don't want to, I don't want to be that person that accidentally infects them if I'm someone that's
Yeah.
asymptomatic or anything. Because realistically speaking, I'm out in the open more than anyone else realistically because where I work, it's just one of those
Right.
things. And because of that, I'm just more at risk than some other people are, and I don't want to risk that if that's the case. I think that's a lot of how people are, and I even have people in my own family where they're the exact opposite of it, where they don't really necessarily believe in the virus or whatever, and they're still going to do Thanksgiving if Thanksgiving was Thanksgiving. So
Yeah.
I think everyone can kind of relate to it. It's just a giant question mark of what people are going to do.
Yeah, no. So this year for Thanksgiving, we are having my brother and his girlfriend over. I'm actually going down. I think it's sometime on Monday or so. I'm trying to figure out a good time to do this. I'm gonna go down to DC, work from home there, and just have my laptop with me.
Work from your
And
new home, your
then
future home. Yeah.
yes, and then just stay until Thursday morning. Danny and I will drive, because I don't want to like go all the way DC, turn right around, head back,
Yeah,
So
I get it.
So I'm gonna spend. Oh man, I just realized I need to get gas. Whoops. Good. I mean, so and I also got an update. It sounds like I'm working from home tomorrow because there's no one gonna be in the office tomorrow, so that
There you go.
works. So at least I get to sleep until 8 again, so that's good.
I'm off tomorrow, so I get to sleep
Well,
in.
we can't all be all stars, Whitmer.
You're welcome. The
Anyway,
weird thing
so
is, I don't know why, because what daylight savings or whatever it's called when you fell back like weeks
yeah,
ago, I'm still not used to it. I cannot sleep in anymore. On my days
dude,
off, I'm waking up like the same exact time, sometimes even earlier than I do
yeah,
when I'm working. It's annoying. And then there's been days
yeah.
this week where I'm like this weekend I was off and I couldn't sleep in at all. But yesterday and today, I'm like, of course, this is the day where I feel like I want to sleep in, and of course, it's a day at work.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, no, it's funny because there's some days where just like lately, but like last couple weekends or anything, just there's some days where it's like, oh, you sleep in. Other days it's just nope, you're up early. It's just, why? The worst part is literally it's so dark out. I want to say it's like 5 o'clock. It starts getting dark
Yeah.
out, and
Honestly, by
by the time
3, the
it's
sun
six
starts
o'clock,
going
it
down.
literally feels like it should be like midnight, 1 in the
Yeah.
morning. 'Cause it's pitch blackout. It's like,
Like right
what
now.
happened?
It's only 5:30. It's already pretty much pitch blackout.
Yeah, I can't see out my window. It's pitch black.
I do
Sucks.
actually, because I just thought of it, of your snap from this weekend. Did you like my joke I made? Because you said you were on your like third thing of margarita.
Oh yeah,
You're with Danny, and I said, "That's it."
yeah. Wait, I bring up
Clackers.
this snap you sent me. So yeah, so I went to visit Danny over the weekend, and it was on Saturday. Oh,
Yeah,
wrong
I think it
person.
was Saturday.
No, it was Saturday,
Yeah.
and we had gone into this really nice Mexican place. We got to sit outside, which is nice. And the way that this place does it there, everyone is required to wear masks leading up to when you get seated, and then even when you're taking your order for the way you're taking your order, you have to wear a mask, which I like.
Yeah.
Everyone's spread out and everything, which is nice. So we get our orders and everything, and for $25 you can get a half pitcher, which not too bad. And
Yeah.
it basically turns out to be like what like basically almost 2 full glasses each from that half pitcher, which is nice.
That's not bad.
And
I mean,
then
that's pretty much what you would have gotten anyway if you would have just gotten some other cocktail or drink or anything.
exactly.
So
So we did that, and then while we're eating everything, Danny goes, "I have a terrible idea." I'm like, "Oh God, what?" She goes, if we get these, I will cover. Why don't we each get our own margarita now plus dessert?" And I'm just like, "Are you trying to make me blow up?" Like literally, I was so because I had filet mignon fajitas, and they were so good. I love them. They're delicious. I was beyond full.
I support Danny's decision, by the way.
Oh, I did too. And literally, she goes, "I'll cover. We'll get one more margarita each, like actual full margarita. I'll cover that and dessert." I'm like, deal. And so we got like the half pitcher was like a standard, margarita, whatever. And then the third one technically we got, because again the half pitcher was like 2 each. The next round of margaritas we got, it was like this tropical margarita, and it was so good though. Oh my God. And literally like the moment we got like the tiniest sip, was like, ooh, oh, this is gonna be dangerous. So we're just sitting there, and we're having the time of our lives. We're having a ball. And then we got churros for dessert, and it was amazing. And literally, because I she ended up picking up the tab last time. So I thought it'd be nice to pick up the tab this time. I'm like, that's fine, I'll get it. It's fine. Again, I'm glad she mentioned that she would help pay for the drink, for the last drinks and the churros, including tip $150 later.
You pulled a Brian. Congratulations, Jeffrey. You did it. Because that's pretty much what Brian would spend on a night out.
Yeah, right. And dude, we spent $50 on drinks alone.
I still support.
Oh yeah. So the snap here comes. So I took a snap and Wimmer replies back, "That's it, slackers." Oh God. So then the funny thing is, so Danny and I we're in our head back, right? And she goes, "Oh, I have another idea." I'm like, "Oh God, what now?" She goes, "Well, I was thinking, after dinner drink somewhere. I don't know where we would get them, but I was like, Jesus Christ." And then she goes, "But I have another idea. Let's just play Mario. Let's just play Mario Kart when we get back." I'm like, "I love you. You're my favorite person. You're fantastic." So we start getting set up and everything, and then she goes, "I need to lay down. I'm getting tired." I'm like, "You know what?
Oh
I'm just so full. I just
no.
need to lay down and relax."
Oh.
Literally out cold for 45 minutes. I wake up. I'm like, "Wow, I didn't realize how badly we needed that nap." She woke up and we were talking. She goes, "I'm just gonna close my eyes for a few more minutes." I'm like, "That's fine."
And then it
I
was the
went
rest of the
to.
night.
She ended up napping for like another hour.
Okay.
I mean, because again, by the time we got back, it was only like 6 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe even 6:30. So literally, by the time like this all happened, I think she like woke up at like 9:15, 9:30, and and I'm just like watching TV or something. But I'm just like that would be us like we get back from drinking so much and just come back and we end up just taking like a solid 45-minute nap. She took like an almost 2 hour nap.
Yeah, I could see it.
I was like, oh my God. So that was a highlight Saturday night.
There you go.
It was just so funny though.
It's funny though. I've had that same, because I mentioned this before during the summer when my sister and her husband came and you're playing beer pong and flip cup.
Yeah.
And how literally I had work that day and it came back at 2. And pretty much after that, we were drinking and we stopped at like pretty much the same time you did, like 6. And then we sat down like, all right, we're not doing anything for the rest of the day. Like we had plans to like maybe
Yeah.
drink some more, play board game, do whatever. And so we just kind of sat down, watched like Hulu or something. And like, we're falling asleep here. And it was like 9 o'clock. Everyone went to bed.
So I forgot. This reminds me of this great story. This happened here in college. It was oh God, it was Spring Fest on my birthday at a school and at ESU, and it was big day drink and everything like that,
Where'd you go to school? Cornell?
Huh? Where I went to college? You went to Cornell?
It's pronounced Colonel. It's the highest rank
It's
in the
the highest
military.
rank in the military. Anyway, so it was it was a big day drinking, or that happens every year, and so I went with some friends this year this one year, and this one my one of my old roommates who who I used to be friends with, he sent me up a big time. He's just like yo, it's this guy's birthday, yo. So literally everywhere people were just handing me drinks left and right, and there was like these beer trucks where you would just get in line and get beer and everything, of course. And I felt so bad because people like they've been waiting in line. This one guy told me, he goes, "Yeah, I've been waiting in line for 45 minutes and I just got a beer." And I'm like, "Dude, that sucks." And then out of nowhere, my roommate, he goes, "Yo, it's this kid's birthday. Like, let's get fucked up." And then the guy, he's so hyped, he forgets that in fact he's been waiting in line for 45 minutes just for one beer. He goes, "Yo, man, you need it more than I do." He just pours his entire beer into my cup. I'm just like,
You made a friend that night.
yeah, I'm like, I love it. I feel so bad, but I'm not going to deny this drink. And I just walked away.
Mm-hmm.
But no, so after that, and it started at like 11 a.m. We were drinking all the way to I think like 3:30, at least maybe 4. I can't remember like what time we got back. The moment I got back, I closed my eyes and it felt like the world's longest blink. And all of a sudden I woke up like not, no, it was like 11:30 at night. I like fully fallen asleep for like almost 7 hours. you know, and I just casually just go get up, grab a shower, and then I ended up calling Matt. I'm like, yo, man, how's it going? He goes, yo, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I just got back for a day drink. That was hours ago, like this afternoon. I literally just woke up. He's like, oh, nice, okay.
Nice.
And you know, so you know, we're just shooting the shit, and you know, just talking about you know what I was doing that day, and just in general catching up, and it was just so funny though, because again, like, just you just get so tired after like a long day of that, or just like hours of drinking went on, and just literally, it felt like the world's longest blink. I was just like, oh, I'm awake, and I check my phone. I'm like, it's like 11:30, 11:40 at night.
Yeah.
I swear it was daytime when I came back. And I saw I had, you know, a bunch of text messages, happy birthday, and whatnot. And I had 2 texts from my one friend and like a couple missed calls. And I text him back, I'm like, what's up? He goes, dude, where have you been? I'm just like, what do you mean? He goes, I've been trying to contact you for like 3 hours now. I'm like, oh yeah. I've literally fell asleep for like 6, 7 hours. It's like, well, that explains a lot. It was great. It was such a
your
great
birthday.
time. Yes.
But speaking of The Office, because as my great transition there.
What a great segue. Oh man, look at that.
The funny thing is I actually have 3 different things. And by the time I finish this podcast at Underachievers, you think I've done nothing but watch TV and like watch sports and everything in the last week. But I assure you, I was busy this week. I feel like Jeff can attest to this. I did do some things last week besides just watch TV. So I'm going to start with my kind of unofficial official critique. So last week I started watching the original Office, the UK version.
Oh, okay.
It's on HBO Max. I think it's also on Hulu too for anyone that wants to watch it. And it was one of those things like, you know, people have always kind of hyped, and obviously there's an American version of it, and I want to see what the original was. I went into it like not expecting obviously you can't go into expecting like the same exact show for the American that it was UK, and vice versa for that. So I was like, okay, let's just see how it was, and it's really funny. I'll admit there's a lot of like cringy, not cringy like Scott's Tots, but like cringy kind of moments in it, I'll admit, but it's still overall pretty funny. And I'll say, and the other thing too is and I think you would also kind of do the same thing if you were watching it too, just because I've watched because you outside of myself have watched the American version of The Office probably as much as I have, at least 1,000 times. And it's one of those things like, and when I was watching, I was like, that's like one of those things when I was like, oh, they took that thing from it and that thing, just kind of, they either expanded their character out more in the US version, or they just went a different kind of route with it.
So I actually have something real quick about that kind of thing. So I've been listening to Office Ladies podcast for ages now. It's so funny. And Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey were mentioning, really, I think it was definitely the first episode. It was almost shot for shot.
It's shot for shot, the same.
It's basically shot for the shot, the same exact thing. And I think from there on out, everything else was their own content.
Yeah, it's their own content.
I mean, it's not like they didn't get ideas from it, but like they just changed it up.
You can see it. Like some things here and there you could see in the UK version that the US version took. Not the same story, but like that kind of story arc, but
same concept.
Same concept, but just did it differently. For example, the episode where and the first season more so than anything else, a little bit in the second season, but more so in the first season. The one episode where Michael gives Dwight has him choose the house plan for everyone, and they go back and forth about taking the conference room or whatever, calling it his office. That's a back and forth in the UK version as well.
No, someone had mentioned that.
It's just one of those things that I find funny, and it's other things like you can see like the story arcs that they kind of took, but not really. Like the character Ryan's based on. There's only 2 seasons, and it's actually really short. I finished it. You can easily finish the UK version in like a weekend. Like first 2 seasons are like 6 episodes, and the second season they had 2 seasons. Then
there's only 2 seasons.
2 seasons, and a Christmas special, which is 2 parts, which is like an hour long.
Oh wow!
So realistically, I finished it
Literally in a weekend.
quickly. Yeah, literally in a weekend. But I did it my spreading because I knew it was a shorter series. I try to spread it out more, just to kind of make it last longer than try to get it done quickly.
Especially since it's so short, you know.
Yeah, at first I was doing like 1 episode at a time, then it moved to like 2 times or whatever. And I gotta say that I do like Martin Freeman because he plays Jim, the original. He plays Tim, the original Jim, and I like John Krasinski and his portrayal of Jim. And I gotta say, it's a very toss-up of which type of character I kind of like. I'll say the American version of The Office. I think there's more out loud funny moments of it, but I think I kind of like the story arc, and obviously for season that's in 2 in the UK version. Obviously, the US version takes some of it being downsized, potential as downsized.
Yeah.
Stanford versus Scranton, and one of you guys are going to be it. They kind of take a little bit of it, but I kind of like how it is. The Jim Pam relationship, Tim Dawn relationship is different in that than it is in the US version. Obviously, they expanded it more. Jim Pam get married, they do that, they have kids and all that. But in the original version, it's similar to the first like 3 seasons where Jim and Pam are separate, but more so. I don't want to give anything too far away, but it's also the series ended in 2003, so
yes,
there's going to be spoilers. I'm sorry
if you've never seen it. Spoiler alert! But
yes, if you've never seen it, spoiler alert. But also at the same time, if you watch the American version, you can kind of expect it. But Jim, he gets rejected by Dawn twice, and they don't get together until the Christmas special, like the very end.
Oh my god, are you serious?
Yeah. She never gets married because it's the exact same thing. There's a Roy in it, but it's not Roy, it's a different guy. But
it's another character, yeah.
He's in the warehouse, and that she actually leaves, like the last episode before the Christmas special, they leave to go to Florida because his brother or whatever has a place out in Florida. So I think it's like 3 years or something like that, or a certain amount of time.
So it's kind of like how Roy in the American Office has his brother Kenny,
Yeah, you never see them, but they go there, and then the Christmas like you see they're still kind of struggling a bit, and similar to how, and they took this kind of story arc in the American version where Roy doesn't want Pam to really be an artist, but Jim kind of wants to push her to do that.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing that pushes Dawn towards Tim, because Tim's like, don't give up on your dreams, even if he doesn't want you to, kind of thing. And kind of that season 3 aspect where Jim is with Karen, Tim is with someone else, and you kind of see Dawn or Pam kind of a little jealous, but also kind of not at the same time.
Right.
It's just one of those things. It's just me as an Office fan, just kind of looking at it like, oh, that's cool. They took this. Kevin is, I think, based off of a character on the show. There's a bunch of others, things like that. Characters you can see, obviously Dwight, Gareth, which makes me even appreciate more of the one cold open where both bosses meet. Which is like season 7, where Michael's coming out in an elevator and he meets like this Ricky Gervais's character, his British guy, and they go back and forth for a while, and then he hugs him at the end because he says that's what she said and all that.
Yeah.
And then he asks if they're hiring. That's David Brent. That's the original boss, meaning Michael Scott, the different boss. And those are 2 completely different characters because in the British version, they don't make him. They don't really humanize him as much as they do in the American version. They don't make him as likable until the very, very end. Like the last couple of scenes of the Christmas special. That's where he's a little more likable. But it's still, that's where the cringiness kind of comes in. Kind of like Michael Scott at the very beginning. He makes a joke, no one's really laughing, and he just kind of stands there in silence for a couple.
Yeah, so because they had, do you remember in season 9 when Pam is in Philly and she's trying to do that job interview for the office manager, which is really the receptionist, but it's less demeaning,
Yeah.
So that guy,
deja vu,
isn't that guy the Michael Scott in in the British version, or who's Ricky Gervais's character?
David Brent. He's Michael.
He's Michael Scott. Okay,
he's Michael Scott.
Gotcha. You know, because the way they did this in season 9 of The Office, though, is basically, and Pam even refers him to
This is Michael Scott.
Michael Scott. Yeah. Oh my God, this is Michael Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because I know that guy though. I'm pretty sure he was on the British version. So I think he was on the British version. I don't know.
No, he was on Breaking Bad.
Okay.
The boss in that one, he was in Breaking Bad. He was in How I Met Your Mother. Forget what his name is, and he did try out. He did try out for Michael Scott's character. That's what it was. I think.
Thinking of. Yeah,
he originally was going to try, or I think during those first calls or whatever, that was one of those things. And can you explain something to me, Jeff? Because I was watching The Office the other day, and it was the episodes where Will Ferrell's in it. Why the fuck is Will Ferrell in The Office for like 4 episodes? And not only that, why is he unlikable?
So, all right, I'm glad you're.
My only theory. This is my theory. This is my theory
for years now.
This is my theory on it. I think it was more network versus the writers themselves saying,
Probably.
"Let's bring him Michael," because Michael Scott was going to leave or whatever, and I don't think they were going to say, "Let's bring Will Ferrell." And I think because at the time, I think they might have been dropping a bit in the ratings. My only thought was maybe someone at NBC said, "Hey, would you guys mind if you bring in
trying to get viewers?"
Yeah, try to get Ferrell, get another big name, Will Ferrell, Steve Carell, Michael Scott, get them back and forth. You can get some great little back and forth there, and it just doesn't happen. It just
didn't
doesn't
work
make
out.
sense.
It didn't work.
And it's also I will say this too before we actually get to that. The ending is also very similar. Not the complete endings are similar in that they come back, it stops, and then they come back later to see how everyone's doing because people have left or whatever.
Yeah.
But Gareth and Dwight end up being the boss at the very end.
Oh, I like that. Nice.
And that's kind of similar to how it. And Tim and Jim turned down the actual manager thing. That's the only reason why I don't get why after another story arc never got is why did Jim all of a sudden just not care about being a manager after Sabre came? Because I got it at the time because when Sabre came in, it was when there was the 2 bosses, and then it was either Michael or Jim. Jim left to do sales because there was going to be more money.
It made more money.
But then the whole time still, it's I've still just been a salesman this whole time. After right before then in season 6 and everything, you see him wanting to be, more. You want him to be, he wants to be a little higher in the company and whatever. And it just kind of, he never has it. And then he turns down the job by Joe Bennett when Dwight gets it for an episode when he fires the gun off. And then he just never comes back to him. I never got that. I never got that. And also, if you really talk about it realistically, Andy shouldn't have gotten the manager job either. Because even before then, he was the worst salesman.
Yeah.
But anyways, hey, I went a little tear there. What was your thinking of the Will Ferrell thing? I want to touch on that.
So for Will Ferrell, I've always been curious as to why him. And there's one moment that I didn't mind him, but there was one moment that honestly
I think
ruined his Office appearance forever for me. And I'm just again, I love Will Ferrell as an actor. I think he's absolutely hilarious.
Oh, same.
But
it's just
he just doesn't fit in the Office. But the one moment that ruined it for me is when they're singing the goodbye, the goodbye song to Michael, and it's a beautiful moment. It's very emotional. Michael's tearing up, and you can tell how much it means to him. And it's such a beautiful song, very well written by them, and it's such a amazing, incredible moment. And then Will Ferrell comes in, and he starts doing this ridiculous singing, high and low pitch voice to try. I don't know if it's him, trying to make it a more beautiful song, but it was already a perfect song, and that kind of just made it less perfect. It's what kept it from
away
being
from
perfect.
It took away from that moment.
It really did. And honestly, every time I
It's
watch
in
it,
that
I'm
moment.
like,
It's like you don't really. I know it's a comedy show and comedy series. Realistically, you don't really want to. There's not much of those like emotional kind of moments. You'll have them, but like that moment, Michael Scott's leaving. It's his last Dundee. It's all this. You don't need him to be that funny in that moment. That moment, you can just have
no,
that emotional.
it's not supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be a nice, beautiful moment.
Yeah, them kind of sing them off, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it just ruins it a bit.
Yeah. And the funny part of that song is that they did the math of how long Michael Scott had been
I
there.
know.
We really did the math. And then I hated that they only put him in there in the final episode for like 2 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. There's like little
But
things here and
anyway,
there. That's one reason. Just because the UK version is shorter, I think that's kind of why I like that one a little more. But that's kind of it's tight. It's close, but that's kind of my thinking there. And another thing that I was doing this weekend, um, I watched Infinity War and Endgame back to back. I
ooh, look at you.
assure you, I did things this weekend. I didn't just watch stuff.
Don't worry. I just played Nintendo Switch and drank this weekend, basically. So
There you
who
go.
cares?
Now I'm going to transition over a bit to a random tangent because we've talked about this many times. Just Marvel going into the next like segment, tangent, or whatever you want to call it, next phase of the Marvel movies. And we talked about it a little bit, and I kind of like that you brought up Matt earlier in the podcast because we talked about it a little bit of the fatigue factor of Star Wars and a little bit of Marvel. And Matt had mentioned in that where he felt the only kind of good thing about COVID was that you're not getting so many Star Wars movies shoved in your face at one time. I kind of feel the same way about the Marvel movies. I kind of want them a little more spread out, and I want them to take their
I
time with
wouldn't
the
mind
next
it.
phase because you're losing so many of the key faces that made that first phase so great. Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson now after Black Widow, whenever that officially comes out. I know Chris Pratt and Hemsworth came back. They're going to do another
Guardian /
Thor.
Thor.
Yeah, Thor movie, which could be great. Could be, whatever. It's just like they have so much to live up to.
They also have Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange, sure. I know you definitely have those great characters. Another thing that 2020 is so shitty is that what do they do with Black Panther now?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't want to think about it because it makes me sad.
it makes me sad too. But it's like they made the bar so high for themselves with how they ended Endgame and Infinity War, and people have their rankings. You guys did your own ranking set. It almost makes me think the next phase people just aren't going to be that stoked on it just because they already have such a high bar.
The main actors aren't going to be their characters.
Well, it's not just that; it's just they're whatever that main thing is. Whatever happens, it's got to be either huge or pretty damn great because the way
I think
because the one moment in the whole thing that makes it so great, both those movies, is that final battle scene when everyone comes back and everything. It's just that moment. And then obviously Robert Downey Jr. snaps his finger. Spoiler alert if no one's seen it. The movie has been out for a year. Sorry. And it's on Disney Plus now. Sorry. And he snaps his finger saying, "I am Iron Man," which is now my favorite line because Thanos says, "I am inevitable" again. And then Downey Jr. says the thing that's pretty much and I think it's one of those things that comes back round circle to Iron Man, where he says, "I am Iron Man," and then he says, "I am Iron Man" again, and then he dies, and you have that kind of emotional moment at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
and you have everyone's kind of those emotional ties or whatever, and all that just kind of end there, and I just kind of like that. That's why I like that the two movies in the end games, especially that last sequence, so great. And that's why I feel like you got to do a lot of development here, and that's why I feel like you should probably spread out when these movies come out more rather than just a year after a year after a year kind of thing like they did in the first phase. That's just my thought. I just kind of wanted to see what your thought was because you're the Marvel guy. Because did you finish your Marvel rewatch?
I finished that. I finished that quite some time ago. So I've actually been in the I'll get to this in a second, but I've actually been in the process of rewatching the Clone Wars because I'm like, you know what? Because I was trying to
saying you were going to do that to get to Mandalorian.
Yeah. So I figure, well, now because I keep forgetting it's every week a new Mandalorian episode comes out. I'm like, well, I got time. I can play catch up. So I'm trying to cruise through Clone Wars before, season 2 ends for Mandalorian. Because there's a key character in the Clone Wars, and it's no secret if you're all caught up by now. You don't the character's been mentioned. I don't know who's. It's almost been a whole week for this the latest episode of Mandalorian, but the new
episode
character
comes out 2 days, so yeah.
Yes, the new character Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka Tano. I don't even know how to pronounce her name. Ahsoka Tano is going to be in the season 2 Mandalorian at some point. She was just mentioned in the last episode, but she is a huge major character in the TV show The Clone Wars. So, and I like to remind myself of how she got to the character she is today.
I got that.
And again, at first I hated her character, but the character development was phenomenal for her. I thought Dave Filoni, the creator of the Clone Wars, did a phenomenal job with their character development, going from like a whiny teenage kid to an actual respectable, but not very mature but powerful Jedi. It's such a cool story arc. So,
and I'd say this, I honestly, just to kind of turn it back to Marvel, I'd say the same thing with how Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. developed those characters. Because realistically, outside of the last however many years it's been since those movies came out, I don't think many people know really. Like, they may have heard of Iron Man or Captain America, but never to that depth to what those characters did, plus the story arc, but them as well. Which make it hard, because obviously you can bring those characters back. Like, there's 3 generations of Spider-Mans. There's new Batman all the time. You could. It's just not going to be the same if you did that.
It won't be the same, but I don't want. I mean, they're technically bringing back Captain America because you have the Falcon, who Anthony Mackie's character, who's the new Cap. So that's the way of bringing back him.
Mm-hmm. And
in a sense. I don't want them to try to replace Iron Man with a new
I don't want
Iron
to
Man.
either.
It's again, you can't do it. It's impossible. So anyway, back to the whole Marvel thing though. The story, it's from start to finish, it's such a great story from beginning with Iron Man, and again, depends on how you watch it. The way I watched it recently during my Marvel rewatch was Captain America, the First Avenger, chronological time order, all the way leading up to Spider-Man: Far From Home, actually. And with this, you got new characters coming in. You have who's basically the character that's going to help lead the next phase in Phase 4. Honestly, Spider-Man's going to be a huge part in that. With Tom Holland,
that's one of the few, and I've mentioned this before on our podcast. Where I'm not the biggest fan, I guess that's the best word, but I'm not as thrilled as it was for the first phase. For these next couple phases, there's a couple movies where I am like Spider-Man. The next Spider-Man movie is going to be
because they set up a huge, massive plot twist where Mysterio revealed who Spider-Man actually is, and we didn't even expect that. Not only that, keep in mind though, Fury and Maria Hill, they were actually Skrulls, and Nick Fury was on vacation somewhere in space. So there's a lot of big questions that need to be answered. So now the world knows Peter Parker's Spider-Man, and that's a massive plot twist.
And you saw even in that movie itself, him kind of changed from being friendly neighborhood to taking on more responsibility, being more of the leader, taking what Tony Stark taught him and trying to kind of develop that into himself.
No, for sure. There's so many great moments in Spider-Man: Far From Home, and it's more and more becoming one of my more favorite Marvel movies. I love Tom Holland. I think they casted such a spectacular actor,
and they did it great. They did it well too with how they did the movies.
Yes.
Versus how
Oh
they
my
did
gosh.
the
Both
previous
movies
ones.
are great. Just I'm just really excited for
Mhm.
this next one. My prediction for this next Spider-Man movie, they're gonna have the Sinister Six in it. There's no doubt that I think they're
Yeah.
you know, they're gonna set that up, because you have the Scorpion in jail with the Vulture. There's the one, like, what is it? Jared Leto's character, like, who's like a werewolf kind of guy or vampire thing.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Morbius, I think. I don't know. I'm not that thrilled with that.
Yeah.
I think it's a little strange.
So do I. But
It's I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. It could be freaking awesome for all we know, which I hope it is. Um, the other thing is, there's a lot of Disney Plus shows. Again, sorry, we're kind of going full circle on the conversation of, like, Marvel movies, and also, back to Star Wars for a second. How, like, all these, they used to come out once a year, and now because COVID and everything, they're kind of slowing down, which is kind of nice. Just because, again,
like
I don't.
I want a little break from.
Yeah, not only that, but like, too much of, sometimes there is such a thing as too much of a good thing, and you kind of need a break.
That's where I feared the end of Phase 1 kind of got people, and then Infinity War and Endgame came in, and then there you go.
It just sucked them right back in.
Yeah, you got, and then bring it back to Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr.'s kind of father-son kind of relationship, and he kind of saw that in Infinity War and Endgame, that kind of thing and everything, and how much that kind of freaked him out, and how much that freaked out Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark, just losing him that he was so close to, and then potentially, whatever happens doing that. I still have my gripes with the movie. I still don't like Hulk, the half Hulk, not Hulk, and Fat Thor. I don't like. I get why they are. I just wasn't. Those are the only big gripes I have with those movies. That's really it.
Yeah, no. Again, I the more I've watched Endgame, the more I understand Fat Thor.
I get Fat Thor. I think it could still tell the story, that emotional element, without making him fat. That's my only thing.
I mean, but again, I've come to accept Fat Thor more and more every time I watch Endgame, because literally he had a chance to stop this horrible, horrible event from happening. And again, because he knew that Thanos had to snap his finger like that, and again, it would wipe out half of the world. And because again, in Infinity War, Gamora told him that all he needs to do is snap his fingers, and he knew that, and he got caught up in so much revenge for Heimdall, for Loki, for half his people, for Asgard. He forgot in the moment he was just looking to kill Thanos. And to be fair, he got him right in the chest, and he even pushed it and everything. And
and then Thanos says,
"I told you,
I
died for that. Should have gone for the head." Snap. So, and he's realizing this, and literally for the next 5 years, he has this guilt pouring over his head, and they're going through his whole body.
And then it makes him relive everything that's kind of happened to him.
Pretty much.
And then
and again,
pretty much realizing he's by himself now. Lost his dad, mom, brother, sister, all that.
He has he doesn't have his family at all, and his best friend got killed and whatnot, and in Heimdall, and so he really let himself go, because there's just this emotional toll that really takes on him, and you can see, just like, again, like, and Chris Hemsworth, you gotta hand him, he's such a phenomenal actor. And the one scene that shows it all on the emotion behind it, how he can go from 0 to 100 just like that, is when him and Korg are at New Asgard, and Hulk says, hey, like, we can change everything again. And he's like, change what? He goes, like Thanos, and he's all happy and everything. He's there, and then just quiet.
And then his friend,
and he's like, don't you ever mention that name again. And
you
can mention that right there. You can, exactly. You right there. You can tell.
I do like that scene though, where the guy's playing the video games. Like, the guy called me a dickhole again.
Yeah. Corey goes, hey, Thor, he's back. The guy called me a dickhead again. Hey, new master. Listen, buddy, I'll fly over there and cut off your arms and shove them up your butt. I love it though, but no, but in that
Thor.
scene though, yeah. But no,
if it
and
comes
that's
back.
one of the reasons why I love Endgame so much is so many characters got redemption. Thor kind of got redemption in that little moment where he got to say goodbye to his mom, and he kind of explains everything in that.
And his mom knows it's going to happen too.
Yeah, and so with everything, and the one important line she said was, all that matters is that you're human, you're like everybody else, and that's okay. And
that's why I'm actually kind of curious with him now being with the Guardians and how the Guardians are. They're all kind of messed up, kind of people from different like backgrounds and everything, forming this family without a family. And that's why I think Thor can kind of fit in there with Chris Hemsworth being that. And after he just lost his, even though they're not really back, but after he lost his family, it's kind of that thing where it's like, okay, maybe this could be my second
family.
Yeah.
And the other thing, keep in mind for the Asgardians, the Guardians of the Galaxy, technically there is Gamora out there, but it's 2014 Gamora. It is not the Gamora that fans have come to love and know.
You saw it in
Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2.
She's there, but at the very end she is not, because she goes back to 2014.
Yeah, so there is a great deleted scene at the end of Endgame where there's this really beautiful moment where everyone takes a knee and kneels down and to pay homage to Tony, who passes, and you see the camera scroll over to Gamora's character, and she's looking inside, and then you see her, she walks away and disappears. And that's why at the end of Endgame, when Star-Lord is searching, it says, searching. So I part of me kind of wishes they kept that in. I understand why they took it out. There's a couple cringy moments in there, and
yeah, I mean, any kind of movie is going to have that kind of cringy moments, but